Hey, I'm Tim from Quality Unearthed, and I'm sitting here with Mike Reynolds, founder of the Earthship movement and super edge thinker. Mike, tell us a little bit about where we are at the moment.
We are in our latest wide greenhouse global model Earthship, which is our product that we are trying to introduce into the real world that exemplifies all of our concepts, but we have to make those concepts presented in a palatable way for the real world, if that's what you want to call it.
So I understand that the definition of an Earthship has evolved over time. How would you define an Earthship now in 2018?
Well, the definition is just, it's a vessel to live in on this planet that addresses 6 major needs of people that they need for survival. And those 6 issues are comfortable shelter that doesn't use fossil fuel, water, electricity, treating your own sewage, dealing with your own garbage, and having your own food. Those 6 things are things that nobody can really have a life without addressing. So we want this vessel to address those 6 things, and that we call an Earthship.
Do you say that those 6 points are more fundamental than the building blocks? You know, Earthships are renowned for using tires and bricks and cans and things like that, which give beautiful effect. Would you say that those are surplus to requirement compared to the 6 points, or are they integral to an Earthship?
Well, both. They're integral, but they don't. In other words, they're the way. Tires and cans and bottles as a building material are the way that the Earthship addresses garbage. We use it, we reuse it. So that's the way that Earthship does it. If a person is just addressing those issues in their life and in their building, we don't care how they do it. We think it's more important that they address those issues, because I with as many intelligent people that are much more intelligent than me on this planet, I think those issues could be addressed a lot better than we do it. But we're just trying to cause people to address them.
Got it. So following on from that, there appears to be a need for Earthships, but how would you, in your vision, what would you say why is there a need for Earthships on planet Earth?
Well, there is a need for those 6 points to be addressed in building. Now, that translates into a need for Earthships as we know them. But the need is that the people of the planet are, ruining the planet's ability to take care of them and to make a home for them on this earth. So that's being done in so many ways, from shit running into bays and rivers to electricity being made by polluting nuclear and coal-fired power plants, to just endless crimes almost. And we're trying to get the sustenance of people to be an asset to the planet, not a detriment to the planet. And that's kind of the reason Earthships are needed.
Yeah, agreed. So you were a qualified architect, but now you go by the definition of a biotech. Is that right? Earthship Biotecture. Why biotecture, not architecture?
Well, the basic reason is that architecture as a profession is just not getting radical enough to address the issues of the time. The issues of the time are changing fast. They say global warming is now happening much faster than everybody thought, whereas 5-6 years ago people were arguing about whether it was even a factor. And so architecture is not, because of its own little dogma, its own little credential, its own little high hat, as a profession it's not capable of stepping up and acting on what needs to be acted on now. So I just invented a new profession I called it biotecture, and it's acting on these 6 points. It doesn't really care about the tradition and culture and dogma of architecture.
Interestingly, I was hearing a talk by a guy called Max Murdo, who's known in the UK for upcycling, and he shared a very similar view of architects, essentially saying that they weren't putting the people at the centre of it, and we were going beyond that to put the people and the planet integrated into the structure.
Because you can't separate people and planet. That's the thing. Our dogma has us separated from the planet. Our, the way we live is separate from the planet. We got to be the same as the planet and address both together.
Gotcha. So I'm actually staying at the moment in one of the pit houses over by the castle, one of your original can structure buildings. And you've also built a pyramid, is that right?
Yes.
So tell us a bit about form. I appreciate that the 6 principles are the core, but how does form of structure, what's your vision of form when it comes to biotecture?
Well, the pyramid's a different story on form, but I don't care about form, and I don't necessarily care about design. I care about what the phenomena of this planet tell me to do to address these 6 points. And I liken it to like a boat. In other words, you're the designer of a boat. Now, if you're an idiot, you're going to make the boat all pretty and have all these different things that happen, but you're going to put it out on the sea and it's going to sink. My first objective with the boat is it must float. I don't care what it looks like. I want it to float the best way it can and be as safe a vessel on the sea as it possibly can be, and a complete holistic vessel on the sea. That's what I want first. When it does that, then I'll decorate it. So that's form. Form is whimsy, and that's what architecture is. It's whimsy. Architecture used to be form to encounter phenomena. That's what a pyramid is. Pyramid is a form that encounters phenomena, be it the kinetic, magnetic issues on this globe, and the various things out in the solar system and the universe that the pyramid actually does address and introduce a connection to. So there's a situation where form, again, the architects of the pyramid didn't make a pyramid just because they thought it was beautiful. They made a pyramid because it was the thing that was needed to do this. That's what an Earthship is, and that's what a pyramid is.
So, Mike, I'm wondering, where do you see Earthships going in 20 years' time? What's your vision for them?
I think I'm starting to see, ever since the beginning of the concept, there's been a crescendo. In other words, in the beginning, I was an idiot. I was a freak on the mesa. I was a disgrace to the architectural community. And I saw that slowly change, and I saw people becoming more aware of the condition of the planet. And I became the right guy in the right place at the right time. And now I'm seeing it crescendo even more to like people are wanting to go in this direction. So the crescendo is happening. And now that's encouraging. So I have to meet the challenge. I mean, people are looking at this concept, and I have to keep trying to make it worthy of millions, if not billions, of people looking at it. And so I see that it has the potential to evolve into how we live on this planet. Not necessarily Earthships, our interpretation of this, but people recognizing that those 6 points must be dealt with as if they were utilities, or if they were, what people need to live. Not a doctrine, not a political thing, not a religion, but a logic. I see this logic coming to the people and the planet, and I see it. I don't visualize it in any crystallized way. I just see it as a possibility for us to become to this planet like trees are.
Gotcha. Now, you also rent out Earthships, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that. When did you start renting and why?
Well, the renting of Earthships, of course, everything we do has to somehow be seated in business to some extent, because we have to fund ourselves, basically.
Yeah, financial sustainability.
Yeah, we have to play that game. It's not the ultimate game, but it is the game. It's the tool. And so back in the early days, I was making these buildings that people were curious about them, but they didn't want to buy them at all. So nobody wanted to buy them, but they were curious. So I started letting people stay in them for a night, and then that grew into what we call the Airbnb nightly rentals of Earthships now, Airbnb, and we rent them, and we don't have to sell them that way. And we do sell them, but we rent them until we sell them. And so the rental thing happened as a way of trying to make the building pay for itself because nobody wanted to buy it. And so now people do want to buy them and they want to rent them. And so now it's a demonstration situation. It's like people that they're still, most of the people on the planet don't even know what we're talking about still. And when they come here in the winter, in February, they're sitting in this room. It's warm. They're sitting here in a t-shirt, bare feet. They've got electricity. They've got high-speed internet. They got hot water. They got water. They are containing in their own sewage and growing food up and down the greenhouse. I mean, it blows their minds. So these buildings are a demonstration of what can be done, and that has become more important than the actual financial nightly rental aspect. In other words, I don't want to sell these buildings all at once because I need them to be here and available to demonstrate this kind of living. And so the nightly rental, the rental of Earthships, just came about as a business economic way of supporting their evolution.
And what would you say it is about an Earthship that people love? Because am I right in saying you've got quite a lot of guests? They're popular. Why do you think people love them so much?
They are popular. They're very popular, actually, and there's nothing but like 5-star and great reviews usually. And it used to be different. It used to be people would say, "Oh, well, this is okay and that's okay," but we responded to that and we just keep making them better and better. And now the reviews are all really good. And the reason is everybody is now aware of the problems with the planet, global warming, climate change, and all that. They're aware of dwindling resources, and they see these buildings addressing that, and it blows their minds. So they are, and then we actually have gotten the point to the point where the boat floats, so to speak. So we decorate them up and play with them that way. And people love that. I mean, they love the way they look. They love the way they feel. They're not plankety-plank when you walk across the floor of a frame house. They're quiet. They're strong. They're massive structures that are like a womb that take care of you. People recognize that. They recognize the looks and aesthetics that we built into them. And they recognize and are starting to understand the fact that they will take care of them. They think it is the way of the future.
Agreed. That womb-like concept I can definitely relate to. Having spent many years living in a yurt, and it can be raining outside and you're super comfortable inside. And it feels to me like Earthships have just gone numerous steps beyond that to facilitate that proximity to Mother Nature, whilst being extremely comfortable, which is what you guys have achieved very successfully. What kind of occupancy rate would you say you're getting at the Earthships?
I'd say, well, we have the first Earthship, historic first Earthship in town called the Hobbit House, is rented 28 days a month, and I think the other ones here in the community are further out of town. I think they're probably 80-85% occupancy.
That's absolutely excellent. Aside from Earthships, what other types of structure are you personally drawn to?
None.
Fair point. All right, so in the UK, there's a lot of people at the moment really interested in self-builds. We've got some great communities like Lammas community in West Wales, doing various interesting things. And I feel that whole grassroots movement is filtering through common awareness. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of artisans building funky places to stay in the UK and beyond at the moment. What advice would you give to someone thinking of self-building?
Well, I would say I would say address those 6 points. Address those 6 points any way you can. And I'm actually interested in any way of addressing those 6 points. You get off onto a lot of tangents that don't address the 6 points, but they address one point quite well or something. I think you need to think in layers, 6 layers, to address those 6 points with every building. And, like a straw bale building, for instance. Well, it's a great concept because it's a renewable method of building, but it doesn't have mass. And there are a lot of things about it that don't do what we need to have done in the stability of a building. Straw bale is a great insulator outside of mass. We've done it. We've wrapped a entire building in straw bale. It's fine. But people think one aspect is enough. It's not. I mean, if you build a building out of renewable product like straw bales, if you're not addressing the 6 points, it's just as bogus as anything else. And I think the advice I would have is to understand those 6 points, and you determine if you can live without one of them. If you can live without water, okay, fine. But if you can't, your building needs to harvest water. It's that kind of a thing. Your building, no matter what one of these directions that you take, must address all of those 6 points. Every building that's built must address those. It's just as important to me as what good is a building if the roof leaks? What good is a building if it's not a good shelter for you? Okay? Then everybody agrees that a building needs a good roof so it doesn't leak rain on you. Well, I'm adding 5 other points to that. I'm saying there is no such thing in this day and age as a good building that doesn't address those 6 points.
Okay. And finally, if people wanted to find out a little bit more information about Earthships, where should they go to look?
The information about Earthships, we have earthship.com, earthshipglobal.com. We have Facebook sites about Earthships. And we have now, it's just beginning really, but it's going to be the thing, is our app. We have an app that's available at the App Store. And right now it has sets of construction drawings for simple survival Earthships and very simple Earthships. It has the concept book of the philosophy of thinking behind the Earthship called Wizards in it. It has a lot of things in it, but we're really starting to understand how to produce an app now. And really the app, which costs $9.95, is going to continue to be filled with everything. Basically, I tell people I'm dumping my entire content of my mind into that app, and once you have it, it offers you the new stuff that gets put in every few weeks for free. In other words, it asks you if you want the new material, you get it, you click on it, you get it, it's done. So once you have it, you have an access to everything me and Earthship Biotecture is going to do in the next 20 years. That app is an education, it's a library, it's our way of just as close as we can come to open source, putting out everything, because that's the way it's got to be. If we think it's good, then we're going to put it out there, and we want it to be not a book you have to buy for $50 or an academy you have to come to for a few thousand. It's got to be out there for people. Now, if you want to take it further, yes, come to all these other things that we have. But if you are barely able to afford an existence, the app is your roadmap. It's your Google roadmap to a life on this planet. And that's what we think is necessary.
Well, that Mike, the White Wizard himself, thank you very much.
All right.
And thanks for your good work. For more information on funky places to stay, check out the links below and check out Mike's URLs that he's given you just sooner. Thanks very much.